I can upload manually. So, hello everyone. I am Nevzet Celik, the founder and director of the Paris Advanced Research Center. We are a small think tank based in Paris. It's a pleasure to have Dr. Sebastien Goulard. He is a consultant and manager of Cooperance. And thank you, Dr. Sebastien, joining us today. And with Dr. Sebastien, our focus will be on discussing Chinese leader Xi Jinping recent 2 days state visit to France. So before exploring the Xi Jinping visit, Dr. Sebastien, could you tell us how recent geopolitical shifts are impacting Franco-Chinese relations?
Thank you, Nevzet, for inviting me to discuss this visit, the first visit made by Xi Jinping since the pandemic in Europe. So this is quite a great event. As you know, the main geopolitical changes that has impacted the relation between Europe and China is the war in Ukraine, and how China is reacting to this war for Macron and for most European countries. So the most important point is to convince China to react on the war in Ukraine and to put some pressure on Russia. So I would say that this is, yes, the main transformation of the EU-China relation.
Okay. And what is the cooperation and contention between two countries? I mean, beside Ukraine and Russia invading Ukraine. And I mean, what really Macron expecting from this visit from Xi Jinping?
I would say that, yes, of course, there is the Ukraine case, but there is also um, the topic about trade, a trade relation between France, Europe, and China. As you know, Ursula von der Leyen was also invited in a trilateral talk with Macron and Xi Jinping. The trade relation, commercial relations between Europe and China are imbalanced, with a very important trade deficit um, for Europe, but this has changed a bit for the last year. So the trade deficit has reduced a bit between Europe and China. So this is an important point because for Europe, the main objective is to become less dependent on non-European countries, and especially China. But for China, because China is, well, let's say, suffering a bit from reducing economic growth, it is important for China to continue to export to the world. So we've got two different objectives. For Europe is to become more independent and to follow, I would say, a global trend that was initiated, for example, by the US with the Buy American Act, and also by China, because China is giving subsidies to its companies. So we in Europe, and this is the point defended by Macron, Europeans need to defend their own industries. And there is a problem because we take some time to become industrialized again. And for China, the most important challenge is to continue to have the possibility to export to other countries, and the European market is quite big for China.
That's
So
true. Yeah.
different interests for Europe and China.
And you're right, because I have seen also the Macron last speech on Sorbonne was focusing on this exactly unbalanced trade between China and European Union, and also reindustrialize the Europe. The Macron speech was important on Sorbonne. And I think one of the main issue was electrical car, if I am not. And also I was reading some article. The Politico news says Macron's cognac, the only thing that went down smoothly with Xi Jinping. So, are you believe that the trade unbalanced with Macron and Xi Jinping will open a new page, or it's really, or it's just game?
Well, it's difficult to have really an opinion about that. Yes, it's true that China is exporting a lot of electric car to Europe. In 2023, about 20% of all electric cars in Europe were from China. So this is a big share of the market. And now in China, more and more cars are electric. I mean, I think that last year also 25% of the China car sector was electric. So China is becoming the main producer of electric cars in the world. And in Europe, we want to have this transition from to decarbonize our economy, and to change from thermal motor cars to electric cars. So yes, we are becoming more dependent on China on this subject. And on the contrary, in France, we still think that we can reduce this trade deficit by selling cognac. So you can see that there is a big difference in the products. So I'm a bit unfair because yes, we in media we talk about the cognac industry or the cognac sector, but there are also some other agreements that have been made during the Xi Jinping's visit to Paris. There were some agreements with Alstom for some subway construction in China, in Hefei. There were also some agreements on green finance, and also on solar industry and wind industry. So yes, there are also some other important deals that have been made to increase cooperation between some French companies and Chinese companies, also in the nuclear sector. So it's not only about some small cognac deals, but still it's important to see that China has a strong card in this relation, because we need those electric cars, and at that moment China is the only power that is able to supply as many cars that we need for the next few years.
Yeah, this is the Chinese export. It's one of the main issue in global trade, not only in France. And I think that's why the Macron invade Madame Ursula the president of a European Commission. And it seems that Macron was not holding his position only for France, but also for whole Europe. And from trade to politics, let's shift. What do you think between these two superpower leader managed or talk about Russia and Ukraine? Did they get some point to agreement, or did really Macron get what he wants from Jinping?
Well, this is a complicated matter, but I would like just to focus on what you say at the beginning, that Macron was talking for Europe, because, as you know, Xi Jinping visit to France was also followed by some stop in Budapest and Belgrade, Hungary and Serbia, and those two countries have a very strong pro-China approach.
Especially
They were
Serbia, I think.
Hungary also.
Hungary also, okay.
Because China has financed and constructed a highway between Budapest and Belgrade. So for China, there is, let's say, a tendency to try to divide the European continent. This so far has not really been successful, because in the past China was betting on Central European countries, but because of the war in Ukraine, many European countries, Central European countries, let's say Poland or even Lithuania, with the Lithuania-China crisis in 2019 over Taiwan. Central European countries have changed their approach to China. The only two countries in that region that still have a strong China approach are Hungary and Serbia. So it's important for China to have this to have this visit in different countries, to show that they understand that that China needs to talk with different European countries. And for France, it was also important to show that we in Europe, we are quite, although there are Hungary and Serbia, uh, Europeans are quite united regarding China. So it was also for Macron a kind of to show this union. So that's why van der Leyen was invited, because there is always a problem with China, but also with other countries, to try to take advantage of the different countries that made the European Union. So if
That's
yes,
important. It's very important what you said. So we can say the Russian invasion on Ukraine also changed geopolitical game in Central Europe.
because also those countries, well, we all know that Europe is dependent on the US for defense. And although Macron is trying to change that, but for Poland, for the Baltic states, they feel much more secured when they got the American umbrella. So if in the past there were those countries, they were likely to open the market to Chinese companies. But now they know that, especially because we don't know about next year about who will be at the office at the White House
That's
in
true.
Washington. So those countries want to not to upset their American partners. So and they were also upset by China. So those countries they are not cutting all links with China, but they are reducing China's influence on their markets. So yeah, we can also talk about the Belt and Road Initiative. With I think that this year Italy has chosen to leave from this agreement framework with China. But for many Europeans, Central European countries, there were no announcements. But those countries have lost faith in those frameworks. So they are shifting to a more European approach to geopolitics and to trade.
It's very interesting. So we can say that the Jinping visit also reconstruct this bridge between Central Asian country and especially Europe. And did he succeeded?
Trying,
He
is
trying.
trying, uh, but is betting on the countries that have already a strong um, Chi Chinese pro-China policy, Serbia and Hungary, and those two countries have also some strong links with Russia. So there is no, let's say, it's not like visiting Poland, you know.
Mm.
Uh, Hungary and Serbia are pro-China and pro-Russia.
And
So it was also,
how they
yeah.
balance with European Union agreement? I mean, to be part of European Union member and be also pro-Russian and China, how they
Well,
balance?
well, Serbia is not a member of the EU,
Yeah, sorry, it's not member.
only Hungary. But if we take, yeah, we can stay on the Serbia case. For example, it's important to see that this country is trying to modernize its infrastructure, for example. So they are making some deals with China, but they are not closing the door with the EU. They are trying to bet on the competition between China, the US, the EU. So at the end, if we still look at the railway sector in Serbia, they've got some parts of their network financed and constructed by China, but as a response, the EU also financed some part of their network. So they are trying to use this competition for their own interest. For Hungary, it's a bit the same. We still need to have Hungary in the EU. We can't put them away. So by trying to develop some agreements, some partnerships with Russia, with China. It's like a message sent to Brussels to say, hey, we exist. You should give us some money, some packages. Otherwise, we will continue to increase our relations with non-EU partners. So it's
Especially
kind of
China.
negotiation.
My last question, in terms of Chinese interest in Europe, could we say France and German has main idea against Chinese policy and the trade unbalanced affair with European Union? Do they have same idea or they have kind of agreement?
I would say that no, they have not the same approach to China because Germany has still a strong industrial base and it is exporting much more than France to China. So the approach is different. But we also have to understand that China now is the first or second trade partner of the EU. We cannot just dismiss China as we are trying, for example, with Russia, and we saw that it was not that easy to get rid of the of oil deals with Russia. For China, it's much more complicated
That's true.
because we are the dependence is much stronger for the EU towards China, but also for China towards the EU, because China also needs to export a lot. So it's difficult, and the situation has changed because of the war in Ukraine, but also because of let's say that the COVID crisis also has changed the relations between China and the EU about confidence, for example. But yeah, let's say that Germany is more is trying to continue the old approach to China, to continue to export a lot of machines of industrial machines to China. But I would say that Germany is more and more, let's say, marginalized regarding this, regarding its policy toward China in Europe. And more countries, are seeing that China is becoming too influential on the EU. They all know that they can't stop any relations with China. This is not possible, and this would lead to great economic crisis. But at least they are trying to reduce some their dependence to China. But it's not easy,
No.
and we need, as Europeans, to work together to achieve some goals. But for China and for any other country, they are trying to take advantage of this disunion by giving some advantages to some European countries and not to all other countries. For example, uh, during this visit by Xi Jinping to France, it was decided that some that poultry pork exports were to be increased from France to China, and but not for every European countries. So it means that France is given some advantages regarding agricultural export to China. So for China, and for other countries, it's important to take advantage of the different European actors.
Thank you so much. It seems we are gonna see more debate in Europe regarding China trade affair in Europe. And also, as you said, the American election this year also will let Europe to decide his own policy, not only geopolitics, but also the trade, because as I said, the Macron last speech on Sorbonne was really focused on unbalanced trade, and he mentioned two big power, China and USA. And thank you so much. I was appreciated to have
Thank you.
you. It was great to see you again, and thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Have a good
Thank
day.
you. Have a good day.
Bye bye.